So, Equestria Girls. I feel like this movie had been the elephant in the room for a good while now, and after viewing it a couple more times, I feel ensconced by the story and tone. The plot holes I thought I had seen quickly filled themselves on the second and third viewing, and the animation is as good as it always was. Although not spectacular, it didn't offer anything new as I had hoped, seeing as it was a movie. It's almost unfortunate that this movie was an animated one, since I would then have to compare it to Miyazaki and the finer works of Pixar and Disney. I noticed a lot of backgrounds were static, and if motion were in them, it was only for the sake of motion. However, the space is well defined and the background doesn't intrude on the action at all, which is good, but it doesn't add anything either. From an artistic standpoint, the background space and art does not add anything to the film. Static though the backgrounds were, they were very detailed in the beginning and sort of faded into obscurity as the story went on, especially noticeable in the human world. I also assume that the entire movie is animated with Flash, and as the animation is very similar to the series. I would have probably liked some hand-drawn frames, or at least some scenes of meticulous animation that some episodes are well known for. I would almost say that the studio got lazy with this project. Almost. There were noticeably more in-between frames in this film than an average episode. The animation is very smooth though, and by that I mean the number of frames were probably very high. Those animators in Korea did a very good job with this, and I saw the work come through. There's a certain amount of noise that is appreciated in cinema. This noise is the background characters going about in their lives. Animation giants like Miyazaki have always had the background characters doing unique movements, and if you watch them in particular, you'll notice that they have their own stories. I don't feel this level of detail and love poured into this film as some of the work provided even by Disney and Pixar. I should note that whenever a musical number happens though, all the animation takes a great leap forward. In Strange New World, I noticed that even Twilight's eyelashes were individually animated and followed separate motion paths. It's impressive how much attention the background characters are given as well during musical numbers. The story isn't too groundbreaking either. The idea of Twilight entering our world as a human has lit around fanfiction for a long time. While the concept is executed well, and I don't doubt the story elements, it's fairly generic and uninspired. The main six are well introduced, catering a little to those who aren't familiar with the main series. There are some issues I take with the human versions of characters not matching what my idea of the ponies would be, namely Celestia and Luna, but that's fairly easy to overlook seeing as how they got all of the main characters pretty spot on. There really isn't too much to say about the moral of the story either. It's basically a condensed version of the lessons that Twilight learns in the first season. What is notable is the music. Daniel Ingram displays his usual mastery of musical elements across a variety of genres. In fact, the music is so good that it's one of the two aspects that really saves the movie from being terrible. Helping Twilight win the crown is especially fun and enjoyable, and I think it's the best piece of the movie. The tunes are catchy, they sound good, and it's appropriate for both the younger audience and the older ones. Most of the music is expectedly done in major keys, instilling a very upbeat feeling. The tempo is quick, aiding the viewer not to notice the movie's incredibly short runtime. The only issues I would have to make about the music are the lack of variety in both genre and expression. I would have liked to see a slower tempo song with a larger difference in volume expression. I don't know if Ingram was told to have all of the songs be so upbeat and high tempo, but I really would have liked to see the variety offered in Mystery Cure, here in Equestria Girls. Another immensely enjoyable aspect of the film is voice acting. All of the actors reprise their roles in this film, and they bring the same amazing work they have been doing on the series. Good voice acting should be able to convey the story even without the visuals, and that's exactly what they do. The lines they say are very believable, and it's truly amazing how each actress melts in their roles. The singing was pretty spot on as well, and although it wasn't Broadway quality stuff, it was still quite enjoyable. The My Little Pony series reveled and prospered in its target audience. The show is well made and tailored for the target audience of 8-year-old girls. This was one of the biggest reasons why it's so good. In an ironic twist, the reason the series so powerfully resonates with adult viewers is because it doesn't try to cater to them. Sure, it has lines and aspects meant specifically for the older audience to enjoy, but it mostly achieves its popularity through great character building and innovative animation. Equestria Girls clearly targeted girls in their high school years, and this is a clearly different audience for Hasbro. Maybe they aren't used to marketing to this crowd, but the end result wasn't impressive. Miyazaki does something in his films that I very much appreciate. It's the way he incidentally sets pacing through the absence of motion in his character and plot. What I mean by this is that sometimes the characters will sigh or pause or do something that has no narrative merit, but only to create empty space in both the pacing and the plot of the story. This empty space is essential in setting a sense of time in the viewer, and it's one of the things that Hitchcock did very well in his films. This emptiness gives the viewer time to appreciate their connection to the characters and provides a dynamic time stream so that the faster pace seems faster, and the slower scenes are more impactful. Nowadays, a lot of films have forgotten this empty space, and it's not commonly seen anymore. Directors have become afraid of still scenes, fearing that the audience will get bored and lose their attention. With emotion, timing is one of the most important elements in leaving a lasting impression. Because Equestria Girls doesn't give the viewer much break in between scenes and action, there's no time for the viewer to connect with Twilight. The movie was enjoyable and entertaining. That's all I really expected from it. It wasn't a work of art, and it wasn't anything noteworthy. Unfortunately, I do not think that the few redeeming qualities of the film can save the entire thing from being unimpressive. The story was lacking, and the animation, save for the musical numbers, was fairly boring as well. Voice acting and music was above par, but not enough to redeem the movie, at least in my eyes. Dance choreography was fine and fit the characters, but was uninspired. I'd probably recommend this movie only to Bernies, as the movie is not representative of the brilliance and depth I have seen from the parent series. Probably a 2 out of 5 of Standing Alone, 3 out of 5 of the parent series is taken into consideration. Now, this movie has taken a lot of flack even prior to its opening, and I think it's for good reason. For me at least, the animation designs seemed a little bit unnatural and ill-suited for the animators for My Little Pony. In the scope of My Little Pony movies, Equestria Girls is the best one, but I don't think that it's a great work of modern animation. Thanks for watching and your continued support.